It's my nerd world. Welcome to it, a Star Wars podcast. Holy cow, we have a lot to talk about today. On the show this week, the Book of Boba Fett trailer dropped. You already knew that, though. We have rumors of a new movie filming next year that's not any of the movies that we've been told about so far. What to expect on Disney Day, and a little bit of listener feedback. I'm glad you're with the show. Let's not waste any more time and get right to it.
Nothing will stand in our way.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I will finish what you started.
Who are you? I'm no one.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
The Force. It's calling to you.
My nerd world.
Just let it in.
It's true. All of it's true. I swear. It's my nerd world, the Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Jon Justice. What the heck is going on, man? Holy cow, we got a lot to talk about today. All right, so like we said, got the Boba Fett trailer. We'll talk a bit about that. Some weird news just dropped like 2 hours before I started the show this week about another movie that is going to start filming next year. I have thoughts about it. Plus, we'll talk about what's expected for Disney Day next week. So, let's you know what? Let's not waste any more time, and let's get right to the sort of the big one, right? And that's the Boba Fett teaser trailer that dropped on Monday this week.
When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
So I'm not going to go the route of playing the audio of the trailer. I'm sure you have seen it so far for yourself. Probably listened to other podcasts that beat me to getting a podcast out to talk about the trailer. But I do want to talk about a bit of what we saw and my expectations and thoughts on it. Look, I'll be up front. It was sparse on details. I think the most significant portions of the trailer actually came in the dialogue and not in what we saw. But look, it's sparse on details and reveals because it can be, because it is a Disney Plus streaming show. TV trailers don't need to be movie trailers. Movie trailers need to get people and random people off their butts and into the movie theater to go see the film, right? This is not for, as Zach over on Knights of Vader would say, you know, the filthy. These trailers are for the filthy casuals, right? I think I'm using his term correctly. If not, I'm sure he'll let me know if I'm not. But, you know, these trailers are for the casual audience, right? They're not for you and me. And they don't need to give us everything. Now, they are for you and me, those that do Star Wars podcasts or listen to Star Wars podcasts, from the standpoint of they are leaving things out intentionally, right? They're holding back on it. The trailers don't need to be these big, you know, they don't need to have a lot of oohs and ah, ooh and ah moments right out of the gate, because they know we're going to watch them. It's a lot easier to get up off your butt, walk over to your TV or whatever you're going to watch it on, turn on Disney Plus and watch it. So, again, they can be sparse and short on details because it's TV. They don't have to be movie trailers, right? That being said, it was a cool trailer. I dug it. I didn't walk away going, oh my gosh, that was the greatest thing ever. I didn't do that. I was like, all right, cool. We're getting a Boba Fett show. And for a guy my age at 49, right, you know, I'm excited for the possibility of what's to come. But again, it's Boba Fett. I mean, that's pretty rad. again, for a guy my age, I mean, for an individual that grew up with these films, saw all the films in theaters, including the first Star Wars at age 5 years old, and seeing Boba Fett, that action figure, as the first thing we were going to see for The Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett will always hold a fondness in our hearts. And we have a bit of a preview of that because what we saw of Boba Fett in Mandalorian Season 2. There's been some really interesting commentary, though, around Boba Fett, and that is that we may see him in different iterations of his armor, and that may point us to the time period at which we will see him in the show, as the show may jump around in terms of the storytelling. We may jump through two different timelines. I think the Book of Boba actually alludes itself to that. I mean, I think the Book of Boba Fett title could refer to many things. It could refer to sort of the various chapters and layers in Boba Fett's life. We know a lot about him. We know about his birth. We know him of his relationship with his father Jango in Attack of the Clones, what he learned from Jango, being a simple man trying to make his way in the universe, his lack of fondness for the Jedi, right? Whether or not that plays into the Book of Boba Fett remains to be seen. But the title in and of itself could be referring to his many layers or the many chapters in his life. As we've talked about on previous episodes, there's a lot of speculation that we're going to get the Mandalorian, right, in Book of Boba Fett. It would make some sense. But that we may actually get, an iteration in the timeline of Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and even Grogu. But getting back to the trailer in and of itself, it looked great. A lot of people have been commenting on how they feel like it looks different than The Mandalorian and maybe even better. I think that might have to do with the fact that the volume, the way that they shoot The Mandalorian on one stage with the giant LCD screens, they've built a bigger one now, and they're refining that particular process. I think a lot of it can be because of Robert Rodriguez, who's the individual who's behind the Book of Boba Fett, along with your usual suspects of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And I also agree with a lot of commentary that really what we saw is probably just from the first few episodes. It was cool. It was really cool to see, again, we're getting more Star Wars, and to see a little bit about what it is that we're going to see in the Book of Boba Fett, especially when it comes to Boba Fett himself. It was really telling at the beginning of the trailer. You have Bomar Monk, who comes out, little spider, the spider monk guy, right, trying to achieve enlightenment by putting their brain, their essence, in that creature, right, walking across the sands of Tatooine at the start of the episode's pretty cool. Again, it was sparse on a lot of, it had little action sequences, and saw Slave One in there, but didn't have any major reveals of ooh and ah. But when the trailer starts off and he says, "I'm no bounty hunter," I think that really sets the stage. Again, the details in the trailer were in the dialogue, talking about the underworld, talking about collaboration, not ruling with an iron fist like Jabba. At the end of the trailer, telling the group gathered around the table, "You may speak freely." We have a bounty hunter story in The Mandalorian, so it makes sense that Boba Fett may no longer be a bounty hunter, right? Or is no longer a bounty hunter, and is now, going to be more of a kingpin who has taken over Jabba's palace. That makes a lot of sense to me. We're getting a different version of Boba that I think a lot of people may have expected early on, might be a lot different than what we were going to get in the Boba Fett movie. And I'm wondering if the Boba Fett movie that we were going to get might have been more closer in line with what we actually got with The Mandalorian. Because The Mandalorian story seems more in line with what you kind of would have expected with the book of Boba Fett, or just with Boba Fett in and of himself. So, look, I dug it. I thought it was cool. I've watched it a couple times. I'll probably watch it at some point again tonight. It wasn't anything that kind of blew me out of my chair, but it didn't have to. And Disney, Lucasfilm has already shown in these shows that they can hold back on this stuff. So we get those really awesome reveal moments that we weren't expecting. And that's kind of the cool thing about what you can do with with streaming is that, you can put out these trailers and just get everybody hyped for it and know that people are going to watch it. And even if they don't watch it out of the gate, they're going to watch it eventually if it's great and the reveals happen via word of mouth. And it's a luxury that you have on streaming, on, television streaming, that you don't necessarily have when it comes to the theatrical experience. You can have that same type of word of mouth, but certainly not on a week-to-week basis. And you don't necessarily have the luxury of time when it comes to a theatrical release because you got to get as many people to the theater as, in those opening weeks as possible. So I think this is going to be par for the course for what we can expect moving forward when it comes to, maybe not for everything. I think for other projects, we may get bigger teases to kind of entice us more or get us more interested. But with what they're doing with these trailers and the streaming services, I think this is kind of what we can get. You're going to get a feel for it. You're going to get a vibe for it. We'll probably get more footage between now and when it drops at the end of December, and that might reveal a little bit more, might kick up the hype a little bit more. I think they put this teaser out now because we are going to most likely be getting quite a bit of stuff come next Friday, which we'll get to in just a moment. But I dug it. I thought it was cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to watch it. Probably a lot, just like I did The Mandalorian. What else can I say? Drop me an email, talkshownerd@gmail.com. I'd love to hear what you thought of the Boba Fett trailer. All right, let's get into, you know what? I guess we can go ahead and put this under, leaks, right?
The hyperdrive is leaking.
So this just dropped like a couple of hours ago, and I'm not sure what to make of it. That's not true. I actually do know what to make of it, because I do have a hot take on it. So, at Big Screen Leaks, which, if you believe people on Reddit, actually have a bit of credibility, they tweeted out, there's a Star Wars film planning to shoot next year, and it's not Taika Waititi's film, Feige's film, or Rogue Squadron. What?
This is not going to go the way you think.
Yeah, that's right. You heard me right. According to Big Screen Leaks, there's a Star Wars film planning to shoot next year, and it's not Taika Waititi's film, Kevin Feige's film, or Rogue Squadron. All right, so what could this be? Well, it could be anything. I'm going to appeal to a couple of posts that I grabbed from Reddit, because they were kind of along the same lines of what I was thinking. So I'll share them with you, and I'll share you some of my thoughts. So, give me Tico? Sure. On Reddit says, I assume, this is interesting, because a lot of people are making this comment, I assume it's the first Rian Johnson trilogy film. Okay, before I go any further, I believe Rian Johnson has just wrapped on his second Knives Out film that's going directly to Netflix. It's interesting, too, because Taika Waititi just announced that he is going to be helming another movie, InCal or iCal or something I've never heard of before. And we had been told that Taika Waititi was, the next on his plate was Star Wars. Okay, so anything's possible here. You don't know anything about the Feige-produced film. We do know that Rogue Squadron is on the slate for 2023. Okay, so I'm of the opinion that Rian Johnson could be in the mix here. And I know that brings about a lot of mixed emotions for people. I don't think the backlash would be nearly as bad as a lot of people would expect, simply from the standpoint of the divisions when it comes to The Last Jedi seem to be hated The Last Jedi, hated Rian Johnson, and then okay, let me put it this way. The divisions on the negative side of The Last Jedi go like this. So you either have one half loves The Last Jedi, thinks it's a masterpiece, and that's me. Then you have the individuals that hate The Last Jedi, and among the individuals that hate The Last Jedi, they hate The Last Jedi and they hate Rian Johnson, or they hate The Last Jedi but think that Rian Johnson could do a good Star Wars movie when he's not attached to existing canon. So that's why I think that you've kind of parsed out some of the negativity around Rian Johnson and The Last Jedi, because the fandom that doesn't like The Last Jedi is actually split between hating Rian Johnson and really liking Rian Johnson. The other films he's done, just didn't like The Last Jedi, but thinks he could do a good Star Wars movie apart from it. So how could that possibly look in terms of a timeline? Well, if there is a movie shooting next year, We know that Rogue Squadron's coming out in 2023, so it'll be shooting. You can be shooting multiple Star Wars movies at one time. Gimitoko wrote, you would get Rogue Squadron 2023, potentially a Rian Johnson trilogy episode 1 in 2024, and then in 2025 you get a Taika Waititi movie, and then so on and such forth. Also, Disney is releasing Avatar 3 in December 2024. The movie has already been shot, so it's happening this time. So the 2024 Star Wars movie would probably release earlier during the year. If it's a 2024 summer-fall one, it would be definitely appropriate to start shooting as early as next year. Okay, so it would be a little tight in terms of Star Wars release schedule, right, which they've already screwed up once on this. So you get Rogue Squadron, because I agree with the sentiment here. You're not going to put out an Avatar 3 and a Star Wars movie within the same holiday season, right? So you'd get Rogue Squadron at the end of 2023 in December, and then we would probably get whatever this movie is, potentially Rian Johnson Trilogy Episode 1 in May, which used to be the typical Star Wars release date. And then 2025, you get a Taika Waititi movie. And maybe that's the shift back to May that they always wanted. And then you get a break until 2026 when you end up getting the next episode 2 of the new trilogy. Now, and I like this idea. And I'm just tossing it out there and what this person wrote on Reddit. I think it's plausible. As I've said often, I firmly believe that, Star Wars we need a through line here, man. We need some theatrical releases that are tied together, trilogy or just a series. It all needs to work together. So I'm down with that. There's also individuals that are, saying that on Reddit, Thrawn and Ezra are reported by LMR Online to be that there's going to be a series after the limited run of Ahsoka. And there's supposed to be this main culmination crossover event, okay? Bob Iger did say a while back that it was possible for the Mandalorian era movies to occur. So there could be other events during this time that involves characters in a team-up like Avengers before the main ones. General Veers on Reddit alludes to this as well. During last year's Disney Day, Kathleen Kennedy did say very clearly that some of the current slate of Disney Plus shows would culminate in some sort of event between shows. I suspect, they write, that that's what this is. A Disney Plus film that would somehow combine the elements, features, characters, story arcs from Mando, Book of Boba Fett, possibly Andor and the Kenobi shows. Probably not Andor and the Kenobi shows, because those are taking place in a completely different timeline. So, Mando, Book of Boba Fett, Rangers of the New Republic, which apparently, according to Making Star Wars, is still happening. The rumors of it being dead were premature, and maybe even Ahsoka. So, this could be a movie filming for Disney Plus. Bob's not in charge anymore, even though he said back in the day that there wouldn't be any movies on Disney Plus. This could be it. And they could be doing it via the streaming platform in the way they did it for Avengers. So rather than have a bunch of spin-off movies culminating in a big Avengers film, we get a bunch of streaming shows culminating in a big streaming shows film. That makes sense as well. My guess is that if this rumor is true of a film shooting next year, then we will probably get the announcement of whatever it is on Disney Day next Friday, and that is how the source is aware of this particular information. That makes the most sense to me. As always, what do you think? TalkShowNerd@gmail.com.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
All right, before we get into Disney Day rumors from Star Wars News Net, this also dropped this week. Andor, right, the Andor series, is reportedly going to last for 3 seasons with Tony Gilroy at the helm of the whole series. So for those that aren't familiar with Tony Gilroy came in towards the middle to end of production on Rogue One and ended up making a bunch of changes in the film that Gareth Edwards had shot. And he's largely responsible for the version that we ended up seeing in the movie theater, which is why some 70% of the footage that we saw in the trailers for Rogue One weren't even in the film. So, apparently we're going to get 3 seasons. That's awesome. Tony Gilroy's at the helm for all of them. I loved Rogue One. I'm down with all of it. All right, so here's the other big one. And probably why we got the Book of Boba Fett trailer earlier this week, because they wanted to give it some time to breathe, because apparently we're getting some pretty big stuff come Friday, November 12th. That would be Disney Plus Day. Star Wars Newsnet has heard details of what we can expect to see and learn from upcoming Star Wars projects, which includes our first look at footage from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and several other projects. We are reporting these as rumors simply because the studios have been known to change these things up at the last minute. There's a lot of different outlets that are also reporting this exact same information, so it's not a huge surprise. For example, J.J. Abrams came down to the wire to decide on which version of Episode 9 trailer would debut at Star Wars Celebration. So there's no way to definitely know the final plan, but this is what they've learned. They also reached out to Lucasfilm for comment, but have not heard back. The moment we've all been waiting for is just a week away, they continue to write. We are told the first teaser trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi series will debut on Disney Plus Day. The series wrapped filming a couple of months ago, so having footage ready by this point makes sense, especially for the Star Wars project that is universally the most hyped and anticipated. Our source told us that we should expect a sizzle reel for Andor. You might recall the clip that debuted last December during the Disney Investor Day webcast, and it sounds like there might be another one coming. I wouldn't be more surprised if we got a trailer for Andor. They've been holding out on that for a long time, and they've been shooting that for a long time, too. That's just a guess on my part. This is a bit of a surprise, as we figured at least we would see a teaser trailer in the series by now. So we'll see what they bring to the table for the spy-based Rogue One prequel series. We're also told the behind-the-scenes sizzle reel for both the Book of Boba Fett, which we know we're getting already. We're getting a special with that. And the Return of the Mandalorian would be shown. It seems a bit early for a sizzle reel of Season 3 of The Mandalorian, being that it started filming just over a month ago, and I'm a little skeptical of that one, but would welcome it. As far as new Star Wars project announcements, our source told us we can definitely expect them, which goes into that movie shooting next year, and they believe a new canon animated series could be announced on Disney Plus Day as well. We're hearing that could be revolving around Darth Maul. They didn't specify what, but said they were told a full ordered animated series will release in 2023. Speaking of animated, we were told that there will be a teaser of The Bad Batch Season 2. So, all of this means that there's going to be a pretty big show here on My Nerd World coming up next week. And I guess it's kind of obvious to say that I'll be here for it since I'm the one that hosts this show.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Where you guys been, man? Thank you to Miranda, though. She wrote in. Nobody else did this week, but that's okay. I do think a lot of you went out and actually purchased my books, which I'm kind of happy about. I had a pretty big spike in book sales the day after last week's episode, so who knows. Miranda, though, friend of the show, writes this. Talked a lot about Rise of Skywalker last week, and she says The Rise of Skywalker may not be a perfect movie, but in terms of the way it looked, like the visuals, cinematography, music, sound effects, makeup, and costume design, stuff like that, I would say it's comparable to The Last Jedi. I love that movie, and I've made no secret of that. All right, so that wraps up the show this week. As always, if it happens to be your first time listening, I am an author. I have written 6 books in my EMBARK science fiction space opera series. The first book is available now. The description of that book is as follows. The stars are now within reach as global corporations. Actually, you know what? I'm going to share with you a new one. I just wrote a brand new blurb that is going to be going up on Amazon. I'm going to read you that one instead. I change these up from time to time to find out which ones work better, because certain book blurbs work better at selling books than others. Here's the new book blurb for book 1. Katha's father left behind the key to saving humanity. She just doesn't know it yet. After unexpectedly losing her beloved aerospace engineer father, headstrong Katha Morrow focused solely on honing her skills as a starfighter pilot. After receiving a delayed communique, Katha uncovers a cryptic message leading her to a shocking discovery. Her excitement quickly turns to fear when an industrial accident inside D-Corp, Earth's largest provider of civilian and military spacecraft, sets off an apocalyptic chain of events. Realizing the significance of what her father left behind, Katha must now face her destiny. While the ruthless Sin Argum of D-Corp attempts to exploit the global evacuation and gain control, Katha, along with a ragtag group of pilots, are pushed to their limits and might be the only hope to save humanity from the tyranny of D-Corp's evil leader. Don't miss this fast-paced and action-packed science fiction adventure by EMBARK book 1 today. All 6 books currently available in the series. EMBARK, Treasure in Darkness, The Vanishing War. 2021 Teo Flick Discovery winner, by the way. I won an award for book 3, The Vanishing War. Gahan Corbijn, book 4, In the Asteroid of Misfortune. Gahan Corbijn in the Asteroid of Misfortune. The Rocket Queen, Fear the Dangerous Night, which is book 6, are all available now. I'm currently hard at work writing book 7. All the books are available in ebook, paperback, audiobook, and hardcover. Audiobook still pending on Fear the Dangerous Night. It will be out when Battle Planet comes out. And you can also pick up book 1 in ebook for just 99 cents. And you can get the trilogy in ebook for a discounted rate if you buy all 3 together of just $3.99. mynerdworld.net. Go there, mynerdworld.net. There are links to Amazon right there on the homepage. Or you can just go to amazon.com and search for Jon Justice. These books are great for all ages, written for adults, but can be read by children, much like Star Wars. And it's a passion of mine. I started off writing these books because of my love of Star Wars and wanting to know what it was like to create something like George Lucas did, and this has resulted in what will be a 7-book series so far. So thank you to everybody who has already picked up the books. If you have not gone and left a review for any one of the books, I hope you'll head on over to Amazon and do so. And if you haven't picked up the books yet, it's the way you can support the podcast. I don't do Patreon. I'd like you to subscribe and click the bell to get notified on YouTube when the new podcasts come up. If you don't like all the ads on YouTube, you can grab the podcast wherever you want on whatever platform you prefer to listen to podcasts on. But if you want to support the show, go out and pick up a copy of my book for you or a friend. I really would appreciate it. All right, that's it. That wraps up the show for this week. I think I'm going to go watch The Mandalorian before I have to go pick up some pizza for the family. So have yourself a great week. I hope you are happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are. Really looking forward to next week's show and what we can expect out of Disney Plus Day. We'll have all the coverage right here on My Nerd World, a Star Wars podcast.
The Force will be with you, always.
My Nerd World.